This is Andy.
And this is Matt.
And you're listening to
The Hop Podcast with no name.
What a dumb name.
It's so stupid. Episode 81. And I was starting to tell you a story before we hit record. And then I stopped. And I was like, I'll just record it. So
I hope it's good enough to record, because now you just went from telling me a story to recording a story, and I don't know what it is.
It's not good enough to record, but some people would argue.
Neither is anything we say.
So, I got a text from my buddy last week that just said Oak anniversary, which is what the 80th anniversary is, which I had put in the notes for the episode. That's a whole thing. But it's just funny to just get a text and it's Oak anniversary. It's like, great. we have at least he's listening to it. So
yeah, I have several interactions I've had with people in which they know a disturbingly large amount of information about my morning, and I forget that we talked about it in the podcast, and they'll just drop a reference to something that I have to do in the morning, and I was like, what? Where is this coming from? Oh, now
because we were
takes me a second to remember.
We were at two sort of conferences. I say sort of because one was a big conference and one was more of like a
intimate conference,
individuals companies conference. And I heard someone say about the Big Five to you. I was like, oh, no. It's out there. It's in the public.
Yeah, everybody knows about the Big Five now. I use the term everybody loosely, but to be very clear.
Everybody knows about the Big Five. So we move on. I think we are at the thrilling conclusion, actually, of
organizational psychology. So group 2, episode 4. I don't know what we're on.
It's a lot.
Something like that.
As most miniseries that we intend to do, this has gone on longer than we thought. But I think we're finally at the conclusion that we promised at the tail end of episode 77.
Yeah.
Do you want to share what today's topic is?
Yeah. So when we were trying to summarize how organizational psychology fits into human and organizational performance, apart from being part of the acronym, there were 4 pieces. One is how you learn information, like as a curious leader. The other is how comfortable somebody feels being able to provide information. The third is how do we define the problem? Like at what level within an organization are we defining it as an individual problem or as a systems related problem, which we'll talk more when we talk about systems. And then this 4th category is what do we do after we've defined the problem? How do we choose to try to address it, solve it, brainstorm ideas on how to work with it? Like, what do we do with that information? And that is the 4th part of the second bucket of
of the 4 parts that we're going to cover.
Of the 4 parts of the
it never ends. So and we touched on problem solving at the very tail end of last episode, but I just sort of like breezed through it, even I think with such less depth than we're going to talk about today. But yeah, I think we have some examples to share too of when you've tried it and you've done it really well. And then when you've tried it and maybe you did it not so well.
Yeah. What seems to be helpful for people, and correct us if we're wrong, anyone who cares to reach out, is that when we do things as comparisons between sort of, I don't know, old Andrea or old things that I've done and this newer thought process and being able to give specific examples, that it seems to be helpful. So although I don't have specific examples in mind at this moment, Matt, maybe you can help guide us through the conversation of what I would have historically done with problem statements and solve them versus what it looks like in this hop space, and why the difference is important.
Yeah. I think specifically, I've heard you tell a lot of stories around safety glasses, which coming from the non-safety world,
like a ridiculous amount of time and energy on PPE that we talk about.
So much time and energy. And you know, I have plenty of stories from my world. I don't know they're super relevant, given the fact that it was outside of industry. And I mean, I said this last time. I'll say it again. I think a lot of us find value and we're rewarded in our careers for being problem solvers. I wouldn't say problem definers. I would say problem solvers. And so there's plenty of times where I have just thought I had all the answers and would just get a sliver of information about what the problem is and run to my desk, run some reports in my system and really narrow down like, oh, okay, this pointed me in a direction and I've now found the silver bullet of what we're going to put in to change it. And that could be something simple for me in my world, be like, oh, I actually found that when we had a new potential customer inquire, we only reached out to them twice as opposed to 4 times. And the numbers
that's the golden ticket.
The numbers show that times 3 and 4, while not as effective as the time 1 and 2, can still yield results. So guess what we're going to do now? We're going to reach out 5 times, no matter what, every time. And so I would just walk into the team. I'd walk into the room with the team and say, "Hey, everyone, listen. I've seen some concerns from you've raised to me that we're not getting as many responses as we should be. I've run a report. I found the reason why is we're missing out on opportunities 3, 4, and 5 to engage them. Everyone from now on, I need you to make sure we hit 5 engagements with each new potential customer."
Nailed it.
And they look at me like, "Wow, okay."
So glad. Fearless leader.
I'll do it. And to be honest, sometimes they were like, "Okay, yeah, sure, that could definitely work." And sometimes they would, the meeting would end and half the room would leave and a couple people would stay behind and say, "You know, it's not going to do anything, right? You know, you're going to change. We might get 1 or 2. And what would happen?" Now I'm just rambling. Now I see how you feel. What would happen is I would put out that new plan. I'd say, "Hey, we're going to do 5 engagements." We would get some results, some initial results.
Nailed it.
And I would then turn to the rest of the executive leadership team and say, "Hey, here's what we're doing and here's what's working. And here's how we're going to ensure it keeps happening." And everyone would give me a round of applause, pat in the back. And I think to myself, okay, where else can I apply this? And I would just start applying these new great problem-solving techniques I had to other areas with results, maybe not because I did the right problem-solving and problem-defining, but because maybe it's just I threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall and some stuck.
Yeah. Or it was correlation and not causation as well. Like maybe for instance, the team heard the boss is upset with us because we're not getting the results we need to. And although the solution was dictated, they used other strategies themselves to try to get better results. Is that possible?
That's absolutely possible. I mean, there's also, I wasn't the best maybe at even defining what segments of potential new customers I was looking at. And we had all success with one segment, but I applied the solution to every segment. And so now they're spending time and energy on segments that don't actually matter, but I'm convinced that it's just the right way to go about doing business. So that's one of, and I'm specifically thinking about the conference room I was standing in, the people that were on my team, the dialogue that happened before, during, and after. It was routine. It was routine. It was just another day. It was just another problem, and I was just really, really good, wink, at solving problems.
Yeah. I mean, I can picture. Well, let's provide maybe a framework of what the before and after looks like, and then paint it with some other examples, right? Because the before, I think, similar to the example you just gave, and the way that I pictured solving problems and executed solving problems in my organization was the belief that it was my job to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's not that I was trying to overstep bounds or that I thought I was the smartest person in the room or any of those pieces. I I was hired to solve these problems. So that's what I'm going to go do.
Can I ask a question? I just want to paint a picture. Too bad. One of us controls the mute button on this thing, and it's not
Oh,
you.
okay. And it's not me. It's definitely not me.
Here's what I'm imagining, and tell me how
Yeah.
far. It's an illustration, but you believed your role was to go out and find pieces of information that pointed to someone not on the black line, and then God, correct me there if you want.
Sometimes, yeah, a piece of it, but oftentimes that also was overlaid with our numbers were wrong, right? So we're as we all say, we're a metric driven company. I don't know many organizations that aren't, right? So
Yeah, we're driven by our guts. We just make random
we're
guesses.
an instinct driven company. I haven't heard that one before, but so a metric driven company. So that means that we have a metric that is wrong. If by whatever definition we've decided right or wrong is, right? And in my world, it was, hey, we have too many events or injuries in this category, or we have too many audit findings in this category. So so the times that I would be looking for somebody, quote unquote, not on the black line would often be in the category of audit, right? So we're non-compliant for some reason somewhere, either with our own process or somebody else's requirements. And so now I have to go gather evidence and correct it, right? I'm just going to find it and fix it.
So
The other piece that is sort of in addition to that is, let's say I have ergonomic injuries creeping up. I'm now going to, in my mind, this is proactive, right? It's not, but proactively in my mind, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go fix our ergonomic risks, right?
Okay.
I'm going to find and fix the places where we could be getting injured or have been injured ergonomically.
Okay. So
that's the other piece.
Part of it is you're getting evidence, seeing smoke and going to see what the fire is or could be.
Yes.
And the other part was you're just a proactive, good employee who wanted to go work on ergonomic injuries.
Just like the best employee.
So here's what I imagine happens. And I think it's a pretty good illustration, but tell me where I'm missing the point. You would do that, and then you go back to your office and you'd open this like golden catalog of like, these are all in this catalog. I have all the potential problem definitions already laid out. And I'm just going to find the one that's most accurate.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to draw the line to the solution for that problem statement that we use. And I'm going to go enact that solution.
Doesn't everyone have the golden catalog?
The golden catalog.
Is that not how
is that similar? I mean, were you essentially getting signals, identifying the validity of the signals, and then you sort of had this list of 25 problem definitions that you could assign to that valid signal, and then there was a corresponding correction to it?
Yeah. Yes. 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 I think so. I'll give you an example.
Oversimplified, but yes.
No, but it is a good analogy because I'm thinking through real examples and trying to figure out how accurate the analogy is. And then there's a part of me that's like, but that's just how you solve problems, right? There's a part of me that's just pulled back into the old space. Yeah. Like, yeah, but don't we need to do that? So I'll give you an example.
There's a reason they're the most common. Right?
It is, exactly. There is a reason that's the most common. So let's say we have an increase in ergonomic injuries, or just like ergonomic injuries are the larger portion of some sort of pie graph that we're looking at in terms of what we've decided we're going to go after. So my first golden catalog book is going to be thinking about lifting restrictions. So I have a number in my head, and most organizations have like a pound requirement. Hey, you can't lift or manipulate something greater than 25 pounds or greater than 35 pounds. And oftentimes we lower that number, right? The more ergonomic injuries we have, we say, okay, well, now one person can't lift or manipulate something that is over, 20 pounds because we have to reduce this exposure. So that's my first catalog. I have a thing that I'm going to go find. Now I'm going to go ask some questions, and I'm going to go look at our product, and I am going to come up with places that I think were breaking this requirement or this rule. So it's still going back to this requirement or rule that is oftentimes just this rule of thumb. So now I find that in one of our assembly operations, we are maneuvering the core of an engine around that's somewhere between 40 and 60 pounds, and we have to maneuver it in order to do assembly. Now, interestingly, if I think back, I'm already kind of mad that we're doing this.
Okay.
The reason I'm mad, I think the reason I'm mad is because shouldn't they have known we're not supposed to manipulate something
Who's they?
that heavy? Yeah. So that's the problem, is that they would be anyone that I think should have known at that moment in time. So the people who designed the assembly process, right? Shouldn't they have known that this is a requirement? Now I have to go fix the fact that they didn't design it appropriately to begin with. The employees, shouldn't they have known? Like, why am I finding this out? Shouldn't people have told me the fact that they're manipulating this thing and could get injured? Like, don't they know the requirement? They have to know it's over 25 pounds, right? And if it is over 25 pounds, shouldn't the leadership have known that we should put 2 people on this job so that they have to do a team lift? Because if we don't have a better solution, then we have to just use 2 people, right? So I'm already
passing that blame around.
Already passing it around, right? I'm already mad at everybody involved. By the time I go out to theoretically learn, but I can tell you my level of learning before this was really stunted. Like, I would go out to the assembly floor and I would say something like, do you need to lift more than 25 pounds? Show me what you have to do. And people would just be like, yeah, this thing is more than 25 pounds. And I wouldn't give them an opportunity, even if they wanted to. I wanted a simple answer. And so I tried to like simplify the discussion to get a simple answer, meaning I'd be like, okay, so what's the time that you have to lift this thing from this cart to your table, right? So I pick a thing that I think must happen in the assembly process, right? It's on a cart. I can see that they become something that goes onto a table. So therefore, at some point, it must be lifted. I pick that thing and I say, do you have to put it on the table? And they say yes. And then I usually say something like, do you use 2 people to do it? And they say, if there's someone around.
You're lucky you got that. Because if you asked me that, I'd be like, yep. Yes, I do. Every time. Can you leave now, please?
Yeah. And then if I find out they don't, I was pretty good at not blaming the person that had to move it for not getting another person. Like, from the beginning, I was pretty good at that, even before this thought process. But I was so oversimplified in how I was going to solve it. My next question would be something like, okay, so if you have to do it by yourself, would it help to have this cart adjust height so that you can just slide it off the cart and put it on the table? Right? Because brilliant solution. And inevitably the answer would be something like, yeah, I guess so. What I'm failing to understand in any of this conversation is that in order to do this assembly process, you have to manipulate this 65-pound thing 100.5 times, right? Like, this one piece that I've called out as the problem is not, right? Like this is maybe the easiest part of manipulating it, because you can use 2 hands and you can get sort of good body posture to move it. You're not trying to hold it in a specific position with one arm, trying to assemble with another, and then trying to flip the whole thing over while not hitting, right, something that you just assembled, so that if you put it in the wrong spot, you can damage it, right? There's so many other times in the process that it would be harder and easier to injure yourself than the thing that not only I decided what the problem was, I also, in that moment, which is the point of what we're having this discussion around, decided what a solution was, thought in the moment I'm asking for people to teach me. I think I'm asking for their ideas, but really I'm not. I'm throwing out an idea, asking if it's going to help. And then I walk back to my desk feeling like vindicated because I found the problem. I know a solution. And now I just need to draw up the cart to have the engineer sign off on the new cart design to get them made. That's it. That's all I have to do.
Which I think you recap that well, but you're missing a big part of the people version of the people part of this, which is the employees said, yes, it would help. And so I can extrapolate that outwards in the future to being, one, extremely frustrated if they're still lifting it when you went out there and tried to learn and they agreed there was a better option. And two, I mean, what do you mean we have their buy-in? Of course,
absolutely.
They're bought in. They're going to use it. They're going to do it. This is going to solve. Like, it's just, but it's such a position where if I'm on the front line doing the work, it's like, yeah, sure. I mean, it would be better. Okay, yeah.
I guess. Right. I mean,
it wouldn't be worse. So if you want to get us new carts, sure. Not even beginning to ask them like, hey, this cart aside, what else would you show me if I was going to ask you you can use any sort of dumb, dangerous, scary.
Or just like have me learn about the process and be able to see all of the, there we have to lean over while rotating this thing. Like there's so many, there's rules of thumb that we can use, right? And those things are important to still have of places that are going to be higher risk for a human body. Sure. But I didn't even learn enough about the process to know if any of those rules of thumb applied, apart from the one that I picked that was some rule of, hey, we can't lift more than 25 pounds.
But you knew enough to have an engineer draw it up and put some resources behind it. And
yep. And then this is the rest of the story of what it happened over and over again, right? I would have to go to leadership and convince people that we needed to spend money on it, right? And then I would have to manage the time and resourcing to actually get these carts. We would get a prototype in. So we were pretty good at prototyping things ahead of time. We'd get a prototype in, and my conversation with, would this help getting the engine onto the cart, onto the table, would be as narrow as it had been to begin with. And so people would generally say, I guess this would be okay. I never asked, will it get in your way? Like I never asked what the problems were, because I really wanted the answer to be, it's going to work. Like I need the answer to be that it's going to work, because I don't have a better idea. So I need it to be that it's going to work. And then to your point, I feel like I've gotten the buy-in, and then I can't tell you how pissed off I am later when I find that the fleet of these carts we've now made, because I've convinced all of the leadership team that we need them and it's going to help us ergonomically, is just sitting off to the side. Nobody's using them. And now I'm double mad, right? Because I was mad that I had to solve the problem to begin with. Now I'm mad that my solution isn't being used. And so then we go down the path of it's mandated to use the carts, which you could understand why people might be hesitant to answer questions or agree in the future when you're like, hey, do you think this will help? Because they're going to get to a place, if history repeats itself, where whatever they say is going to be used later to say, well, you agreed. And so now you have to use it. Whereas realistically, that cart design, because it doesn't take anything else into account, and I didn't ask enough questions and I didn't co-design it with anybody, right? It is going to make other things harder. It's going to create other problems. And now I'm forcing people to use something that is a lesser tool than what they had to begin with.
And how does that, I mean, energy, effort, resources that go into that change, how does that impact the next time someone from the front line says, hey, we got together and we thought about it a little bit. We actually really could use a couple maybe new forklifts or just maybe changing the windshield on all the forklifts. We're having trouble seeing through the glare. Like, does it impact the use of resources and the limits we all have behind what we can spend impact future opportunities where the workforce might come to you and say, hey, we actually thought about it a little bit and we want to try this thing out?
Yeah, of course. Right. So we have limited resources.
Yeah.
All of us do. Right. So there's only several buckets you can pull from, but I would say that that's less of the problem compared to individuals losing faith in each other. What I mean by that is the engineer that I begged and borrowed time from to say, this is really important. We have ergonomic injuries through the roof right now, and this is going to help. Then he's out on the floor and he sees the thing that he signed off on not being used. That damages my relationship with that individual, right? Next time I go and I'm like, hey, we really need this. I'm probably not going to be bumped to the top of the to-do list, right?
Mm-hmm.
The employees that were willing to give me some level of answer to my very demanding specific questions of if it's going to be useful are probably going to be much less likely to talk to me the next time, because I went from a general statement of, do you think this will help, to this card is now the thing you have to use, without them having any input in between, or very limited input in between.
Well, this is also an example where the cart in how you described it is not making their job any harder. I'm sure there's plenty of times where you did a change like this that made it actually harder for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're terrible.
Because I'm just a terrible person. So for sure the resourcing becomes a problem, but the goodwill between people, like the less tangible ability to solve things, becomes broken pretty quickly. And really what I'm teaching, and the piece of that falls just very squarely into this organizational psychology space, like what I'm teaching in the dynamics of acting this way is this parent-child dynamic, right? Where I'm the adult, the parent who's going to solve the problem, and then I'm going to tell you how to use it. And I'm not allowing other people to take ownership. I'm not allowing other people to feel as though they are able to identify, solve problems together in a continuous improvement way. Meaning, I have taken ownership of the problem and the solution, which on paper sounds like I'm a good employee, right? Like I own the problem, I own the solution. That sounds great. But in doing that, in this circumstance, I'm taking that ownership away from other people.
But you said it as if when you said I own the problem and I own the solution, you really said it as I own the problem definition and therefore I also own the solution setting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt it in this, what's the right word for it? Very overwhelmingly controlling way. Meaning, at some point in time, I believed that if it wasn't my idea and my solution, I couldn't have credit for it. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't do my job. And so it took me a while to rewrite the idea that it would be better for me to help explain the overall goal of what we're trying to achieve to the folks who are executing the work, and then work together to identify the places where we could make improvement, and then work together to trial things to see what change we can make. Like that would be far better for people's ability to own problems, own solutions, feel as though that they have the ability to make improvement rather than always having to wait for somebody else to do something. So that reduces some of that feeling of frustration in the organization of like, I can see the problems, but I have no ability to affect change. by solving it, I was taking away people's ability to affect change in their own work. And also, I mean, I think as we've demonstrated quite numerous times, I'm not even solving the right problems, right? So like the effort is in the wrong space, right? And I'm not even solving the right things. So
why don't you wrap this up in a bow? If you were gonna say,
I don't have any ribbon or anything to do that with.
Okay. If you were going to let's skip you don't have to do the what I'm doing now. You can do the what I would suggest you do. I'm sure Orion has some theory. If you were going to say, hey, if you skip to the end of this podcast and you were just thinking, what am I supposed to do when it comes to problem definition, problem solving? What do I do? Go. Long pause for Orion. Yep.
He's very upset.
He made it so far, though. He made it 30 minutes in. And he's like, that's enough of this.
He's very upset. I think someone came to the front door and he's very upset.
How dare
they? Neat bow. Well, I mean, I would do what we do in operational learning and learning teams now, right? I mean, that's the model that I use in my mind, where I would be out on the floor. Let's say we have an ergonomic risk. I'd be out on the floor. I'd be asking people like, hey, we seem to have an uptick in this. If you had to guess, what would we be doing tomorrow, the next time somebody gets this terrible ergonomic injury? Like what process would we be working on? Start there, just with like people's operational intelligence of what they do every day, of like, oh yeah, there's a few things that we should probably look at. Then go learn about the process itself. Don't try to pinpoint the specific piece of an activity yourself, right? Go say, okay, could you help me understand what it looks like to actually have to do that part of the task, right? And then together we start to see where any of the areas where we could make improvements are. Now I'm just defining the problem and I'm saying, okay, so what I'm hearing is, when we're manipulating this engine, specifically when you guys have to put this tube here, like you're reaching way over, because this is where the tube is and this is where this part is and this is how we have to manipulate our bodies, and there's no real good way to hold it at this point in time, and this feels like a problem. Am I getting that right? So now we're co-developing the problems, and then also we're going to co-develop the solution. So my next thing is going to be like, well, I don't really have a great idea on how to address it. But let me come back tomorrow. Maybe we can talk about some ideas of things we could try that might make it better, and start from there.
Got it.
Was that a bow? Without the ribbon?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have like frill or anything. It was just sort of put together. All right. So are we moving on?
I think we have to.
I think at this point we'd
have to. We said we were. There's.
Yeah. And so are we? Well, I guess the listener will find out what's next, whether it's systems thinking or restorative justice, huh?
Sounds good. Leave a mystery for us and for them.
Yeah. It's definitely not, because we don't know what we're doing next. All right. Thanks for listening.
Well, that's it.
Yep. Another one in the books. We did it.
If you want to send us any of your thoughts, actually fling us any of your thoughts, you can do so at the website hoppodcast.com.
That's hoppodcast.com.
It's still such a stupid name.
It's such a stupid name. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for listening.